Aurora's new camping ban is days away from going into effect. The changes the city is making and the group making sure that unhoused people have a place to go.
If we can't get them housed right away, I want them to be able to survive.
Dozens of wild horses are dead in Colorado from a mysterious illness. The steps the Bureau of Land Management is taking to contain the disease.
We've tried to segregate horses based on whether they're exhibiting symptoms or have been exposed.
Plus,
the NFL draft is the king of everything sports related.
It's NFL Draft Day. We have a preview of the Broncos draft strategy. And it's a Denver 7 Gives Extravaganza. Your donations are going a long way to help people who lost everything in the Marshall Fire. New at 11, President Joe Biden is asking Congress for an additional $33 billion for Ukraine. More than $20 billion would be used for military assistance in the war against Russia and bolstering defenses in nearby countries. The president says it's critical that Congress passes this massive Ukrainian aid bill.
We need this bill to support Ukraine in this fight for freedom, and our NATO allies, our EU partners, they're going to pay their fair share of the cost as well, but we have to do this. We have to do our part as well.
The $33 billion would last 5 months. Biden is also seeking new powers to seize and repurpose the assets of Russian oligarchs. A U.S. Marine who spent nearly 3 years in a Russian prison is back home now with his family.
A homecoming nearly
with his family after landing at the San Antonio airport overnight. As Jim Ryan reports, the U.S. swapped a convicted drug smuggler for his release.
Convicted Russian drug smuggler Konstantin Yaroshenko. President Biden said in a statement, the negotiations that allowed us to bring Trevor home required difficult decisions that I do not take lightly. In this video broadcast by Russian state TV, Reid is seen on the left walking straight past the man he was traded for. Reid was visiting his fiancée in Moscow in 2019 when he was arrested after a night of heavy drinking. The Russians allege that he started a fight and assaulted a police officer. But Reid and the U.S. government deny those claims, calling them fabricated. And video evidence showed the incident, as described by the Russians, never happened. Reid was sentenced to 9 years in prison. Washington believed he was being used as a political bargaining chip.
Congress, my president, anyone in the United States, the State Department, Secretary of State, anyone who believes that they have an ability to help me, I'm asking for help now.
Last summer, Reid was transferred to a remote prison colony where he spent months in solitary confinement, going on a hunger strike in protest. Senior Biden administration officials say discussions intensified recently as Reid's health deteriorated, amid fears he may have contracted tuberculosis.
It looked to me like he had 2 black eyes. A doctor that we have here said that that's a symptom of malnourishment, so he just looked terrible to us.
Even as the Reid family celebrates his release, they hope to draw attention to other Americans detained in Russia, including Paul Whelan, arrested in Moscow in 2018, and WNBA star Brittany Griner, who's been detained since February. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The U.S. economy shrank for the first time since the pandemic hit more than 2 years ago. The GDP dropped nearly 1.5% between January and March. That's well below the nearly 7% growth the U.S. saw in the last quarter of 2021. Economists say the GDP shrank because goods weren't restocked in stores and there was a sharp drop in imports. We're learning more about a mysterious outbreak killing dozens of wild horses. The horses were rounded up by the Bureau of Land Management and are in a holding facility in Canyon City. Out of 2,500 horses, at least 85 have died. The state veterinarian says their office first learned about the issue on Saturday. A veterinarian went to the facility and reviewed its biosecurity measures. BLM separated and quarantined horses that developed the disease. Officials are trying to figure out the cause of the outbreak, and they have submitted samples to learn more about it. We spoke with BLM about the issue, as well as a group concerned about BLM's treatment of those animals.
This is a tough situation for the horses. It's a tough situation for the BLM. It's a tough situation for everybody who's involved. And we want to figure out what's going on and stop it as soon as possible. And we want to be transparent with the public as we go through that.
This is a big deal because wild horses and wild burros are federally protected animals in this country. They are culturally significant to who we are as Americans. They helped us build this country.
BLM says the deaths are concerning, but that their program is necessary to gather horses to prevent overpopulation and damage to public lands. For context, back in 1971, the population of wild horses on public lands declined significantly because of humans. President Nixon signed the Wild Free Roaming Horses and Burro Act to help manage, protect, and control the population. This law is still in effect and allows for BLM roundups. Governor Polis reached out to the U.S. Department of the Interior back in September asking for a 6-month moratorium on roundups. He was concerned with how frequently they were happening. You can find more coverage about Colorado's wild horses, including a spot where you can share your opinions on thedenverchannel.com. Soon, unhoused people won't be able to camp on public property in Aurora without permission. It's a part of the city's new urban camping ban that goes into effect Saturday. Here's a breakdown of that new ordinance. City officials have to give people living in encampments a 72-hour notice to relocate. And this can only happen if the city has open shelter space. There's also an amendment allowing the city manager to create a policy related to storing personal property from the sweeps. The city council plans to discuss the amendment during a meeting on Monday. There's help in Aurora for people who don't have a place to go. Denver 7's Veronica Costa introduces us to the street outreach team.
There may or may not be people there. It's pretty new. Could just be a nighttime camp. There's a little chart right here, a little graph. We got 10 new requests that came in. Be from anywhere in Aurora. Snacks, socks. We go out to tents. We try to build and network those connections. Try to get people to come back with us if they could, work with case management.
Michael Smith and Aaron Kay make up the street outreach team in Aurora.
Hello. Good morning. It's a little difficult right now because we're the only team. We're the only two that are kind of doing this for Mile High Behavioral Health Care.
On this day, Smith and Kay visited 2 encampments. This was the first.
Mile High Behavioral Health Care.
How you doing?
Visits aren't usually quick. The team takes its time connecting with whoever they meet, offering help.
If we can't get them housed right away, I want them to be able to survive.
It's just ridiculous. I can't get my ID. I need $50 for a birth certificate. I can't,
We can help with that.
And then moving on to the next encampment.
Hey guys, Mile High.
Hello, street outreach.
It's a tough job, but the payoff is worth it for Smith and Kay.
Yes, I love my job, absolutely.
Especially when someone takes them up on the help they're offering.
We have someone willing to come back with us now because she wants a shower and to do laundry.
Those are the little steps. Steps Smith and Kay hope lead those experiencing homelessness off the streets and into a home. I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
You're looking live now at the state capitol, where the Senate Judiciary Committee will meet again today to talk about a bill to address Colorado's fentanyl crisis. The legislation focuses on tougher penalties for fentanyl dealers and people who use the drug. It would make the possession of 1 gram of fentanyl a felony. The bill has already cleared the House. Denver 7 Gives is committed to using your donations to help victims of the Marshall Fire, and today is our Denver 7 Gives Extravaganza. Denver 7's Nicole Brady and Brian Sanders are live in Broomfield, where we're partnering with Amazon for one of our biggest donations today.
It really is a $40,000 donation today. We'll get to that in a moment. Jessica, right now we're at a Precious Child in Broomfield, which is a great organization that helps children and families all throughout the metro area all year long. But they also have this amazing facility here in Broomfield where they can store and pack and distribute donations like what you see behind us. All of these labeled Amazon boxes are what was donated today.
Yeah, rows and rows of boxes, all sizes here. We do want to say thank you to our Denver 7 Gives viewers for your donations to our Marshall Fire Relief Fund, because you made this possible. And it just gave you chills the moment that these 5 Amazon trucks arrived back to back to back here at a Precious Child with the mayors of Superior and of Louisville and of Broomfield and city council members on hand, knowing that all of these items are going directly to their community.
Yeah, those officials and Brian and I, we helped unload those boxes today. And again, this is $40,000 of items, $20,000 of that donated directly from our Denver 7 Gives viewers. Denver 7 then reached out to Amazon to use the wish list of items that Marshall Fire victims needed to coordinate those items. Amazon came in with a $20,000 match so that we could get these much needed items to Marshall Fire families.
Kids sheets and kids comforters and beddings for all ages, as well as just batteries. People, when you lose everything, they needed the simplest of things to replenish what they lost.
Yeah, and that gives you an idea. Just the most basic items gives you an idea of where people are still at in their recovery. We're 4 months removed now from the fire. Debris removal just began. A lot of homeowners are still going through the insurance claims process. I had a chance to talk to Superior Mayor Clint Folsom about meeting homeowners in the community where they're at in the recovery process.
I think people individually, they're in different places. Some people are still living in very week-to-week temporary housing. Others have plugged into things a little bit more long-term. But as everyone goes through this process, they're going to have continued needs for more items. And so being able to plug into a group like Precious Child is tremendous support for them.
And again, we want to say thank you to all of you who donated to our Denver 7 Gives Fund. All of these boxes, $40,000 worth of items, $20,000 from Denver 7 Gives, $20,000 from Amazon, will be going directly to Marshall Fire victims. There is a drop-off on Saturday for people to come collect their items for free.
Yeah, the only fun part that we don't get to do is open the boxes. I mean, that. How fun is it to open up an Amazon box? But we know those boxes are full of items that are much needed for families, and they'll be able to pick those up on Saturday, Jessica. So thank you again to everyone who supported Denver 7 Gives and the Marshall Fire Fund.
It'll be so amazing to see those families really get to enjoy everything in that facility right behind you guys. Well, the NFL draft starts today, and we're breaking down the Broncos' potential picks that could have an impact next season.